Hey, what's up? It's Kit time for another video. Today, I will be rigging a few jigs, and I just thought that I would actually take you guys in for the ride. Now, I'm not really going fishing. What I am doing is I'm gonna be going out to this place and fooling around, testing out a few things and all that. But instead of actually just going there and doing something quite random, what I will be doing is giving myself a shot at least of catching something, um, if something bites, because the probability of catching something there where I'm going is actually quite low. And not only is it quite low, it's actually dismal. um, Although what I can say is that there were times when I fished there and more like fooling around really without hooks, and guess what, something actually bit the jig, and one of those jigs I'm taking with me. But you know, in the spirit of actually just catching in the off chance that we get the shot, so why not? This cord is not cooperating. So when you buy assist cord, you could actually kind of collapse it if you take the core off, and this is what's happening here. It's proving to be difficult to work with, but since I already have it out, I don't want to waste stuff, so I'm just trying to get it to cooperate as much as I can, and make a splice here so that I can show you guys what we're dealing with here. So this is a VMC 7117, and it's a 3.0. Now I have this jig, and I'm positioning the hook just right there. It's gonna be a single hook. Now, there's a lot of people with with a lot of rules that, hey, it has to be 1/3 and all this and that. This jig, as you can see, there's uh, tooth marks. Okay, and I want that to be sitting where the tooth marks are, because guess what? When you have a jig and it's already telling you a story, there's no reason why you should actually uh, not listen to it. So there's no set rule about lengths and all that. And logic dictates that, hey, if it's there, then you know, put it put it there because it wants to be there. Okay, so there's really no reason why I shouldn't be putting it there. Okay, so right now we're just I know a lot of people have been asking how I'm doing stuff like this, and it's kind of crazy because uh like splicing is quite easy. Yeah, so there we go. Now this needle, it's something that you can get anywhere almost. So now when you get this, you need a solid ring, and we're just getting one of the generic ones. It's proving to be a bit tricky when you are just showing stuff. Okay, so let me do this here. All right, so that I can use both hands. This is what I'm dealing with here. So okay, all right, so there's one. And for those guys that are new, what I usually do to size the hook, the solid rings, is just put the solid ring in the eye like that. As you can see there, the solid ring is actually about the same size as the eye of the jig. That's how I size everything, just so it's consistent. Now, if you're faced with some jigs that actually have really big eyes, don't go with the really big solid ring. It's the design of the jig sometimes kind of weird. All right, so we are going to just fold this over and then pull the crap. See, this is what I don't like about this. All right, this cord. It's soft. It gives you the illusion of being easy to work with, but it's not. All right, so take two. Let's do that again. Go. Hopefully we get it right. There we go. So this is why I always do it off camera. Kind of a bother. All right, so I purposely made this long instead of actually um, doing it short, because guess what? When you're doing it, you need precision, and sometimes it's not that easy to get. So I'm just showing you guys the simplest way of doing it. Now, also, when you do this, make sure to really pull that so that it's flush and tight. Okay, now take your knife and then cut it. And all you have to do is just cut it even, just like that. Okay, and then that's when you can yeah, this is a long piece, a very long piece that you can work with easier. Okay, and that's the point there. So remember that when you are tying this, it will go like that, much like a slow jig, really. Okay, so this is what's unique with this particular jig. Okay, so it will go like that, and there we go. So it means that we are going to have to poke it there. Okay, so the reason why I have it on the vise is so that it's easy and that you could see. We want it to be in the middle. Okay, so let me actually do this like that. Okay, so we already have the mark of where it needs to go. Okay, so you can see it there. There. Okay, so we're about an inch off from the tip, and then like that. Now you can take it off, so it's easy. Once you have that, just center. There we go. All right, then can adjust. Now I kind of screwed up. Not kinda, but I did screw up. So we're gonna actually do this again. Now, sometimes it's actually easier to just go to the back right here. Now, if you screw up, you just do this. Okay, sometimes it's easier, see? And then to fix that, all you have to do is kind of go like that. So even if you have like a crap load of experience, you still screw up from time to time, and that's not bad. The object here is to actually hit the center so that when it gets distributed, there, see? So that when you actually put it in the position, it's not gonna go sideways or whatever. So what it is, it's gonna lay flat perfectly. Okay, and what I always do with this is I do this upside down instead of actually going like that. It just helps me actually um, position it better. Okay, just notes there. All right, so as you can see, hook is just right there. Okay, now if you want it shorter, you can actually move this down like that, and it's not gonna hurt anything. Okay, so as you can see there, like that, it's a bit shorter. And that's what we're gonna do. So for me, I'm gonna go like that, and to do this, or to bind it, I will do a base wrap. And the base wrap does a lot of things. It helps the thread grip better, and not make the shank move around, because braid is slippery. And in this case, it actually acts as a stopper as well. Okay. So there we go. So it acts as a stopper for that. Now, this bobbin holder actually has a lot of tension because it has its own drag. That's why I use it. Okay, so as you can see here, uh, we are just compressing. Okay, now I will stop typically around there, just after the barb. Okay, and when I cut this, I cut it at a taper. Instead of cutting it like that, I'll cut it at a taper. Okay, now when you cut it at a taper, it makes it cleaner. Okay, so that you can actually see. There you go. And then we can fill the gaps. So you'd notice that I'm actually tying this naked without flash. And if you want to put flash, go ahead. Especially in shallower water, it's actually quite good to have flash. But for me, lately, the simpler, the better. That's what I've been sticking with. Okay, so I use a whip finish. You could use half hitches, no problem. Okay. It's that easy. It's done. Okay, not complicated. Actually, for a lot of people, you could use super glue or epoxy, whatever you want to put on there. It's fine. Um, I do that by batches, so I don't really do that when I'm tying each and every single individual hook. Um, I prefer to just do it later on. Okay, now let's see what we have here. Here we go. So your line tie is there, it goes like that, and as you can see, it's exactly where the tooth marks are. Very good for catching pretty much anything that swims. So that's one. Now, there's always a tendency for this to wrap around like that, but as you can see, even if it wraps around, the hooks are always going to be exposed, and that's what you want. Okay, you can tie this shorter, of course, if you want. It's really up to you, but like I said, this jig tells a story, and the story is there's a lot of bites in that area, so there's no real reason why you shouldn't put it there. Okay, so that's one. Right there, I have a smaller one, and that was 110 gram, I believe, or 100 grams. 100 gram. This is the 70 gram model. Okay. um I'm gonna rig this later, but it's pretty much the same rigging, and more than like, well, it's about the same size as well as far as width is concerned. So you know, we'll use the same hook. um there's this is a Yozuri Blanca, and it's about the same size, I think. I just repainted this. As you can see, not a really good paint job, but quite simple. Okay, we could just rig this with the treble hook, so yeah, it's fine. I think this one right here, this is a Bentos, 60 grams, old school jig, and something that we're very familiar with. Obviously, you could use this. It's already rigged. I'm gonna change the hook, obviously, because this is kind of too big for this particular jig. But 60 grams, and I really hate this color, but it's what I have. And also, it's a little bit bent. So when it's a little bit bent, it's not going to be swimming perfectly. So just know where the bend is and actually just kind of, you know, bend it. Should be okay. Old school fast jig. So this is one of the reasons why I'm choosing this, of course, is when we're out there and we're actually using it, has a different sort of a different approach, or the retrieve on this is actually old school. So you constantly have to move it, right? Um, Now let's look for a hook for this. It should be about the same 3.0 or so. Uh, so we have 7117, and it's perfectly okay to actually have something lighter gauged for this particular one, because guess what? Um, the uh, the fish that you're gonna encounter, they're not really super big. But here's a very good one. This is from Cultiva 3.5. Also pretty good for this. We'll find if there's a different hook that we could use, just so we have variety. Okay, I don't want to show you guys like the same rigging style, you know. At least have something that's a bit different. Nope. I think the rest of my jigging hooks are somewhere. This is like the light stuff, actually. I wanted to try something with a hole. Oh, there we go. That should work, but this is kind of too big. This is a SJ51. If you could, if you look at it, it's like it says 50, but the gap's actually small. So it's closer to a 30 than it is. Here we go. This is a nice one. Okay, so there we go. That would be good. This is a 40. It says 40, but the gap is actually closer to a 3. And the shape is actually pretty good. Okay, now what qualifies as a good shape? Well, typically when you look at jigging hooks, you'll find that there are some hooks that don't have the eyes, or don't have the pointing towards the eye, and that's something that I really look for, because when the hook travels, it always travels to the direction of the pull. So if the pull is actually going this way, the hook will travel like that, like that. Okay, so if you look, if it's pointing towards the direction of the eye, it's gonna travel that way. If your hook is pointed straight, when it pulls, it actually travels outward, and well, the direction of the pull is literally where the flesh is going to be. So always look for hooks that have a point down. Now this one is pretty cool because it has a longer shank, which means that you have a little bit of a protection when it comes to the bite, and it steers it away from the assist cord. So for this particular one, you'd be able to actually get away with a shorter assist cord rather than a longer one. Excuse me. All right, so again, it'll be a decision of using whatever assist cord, but since we already have this, we're gonna be using this. Need I should be going live with this, huh? But I mistakenly published a video today which was supposed to be for tomorrow, and I wanted to go live and have this video as the video for today. I'm thinking about doing everyday uploads instead of every other day. I'm thinking that it might be more efficient to reach a broader audience. So we'll see. I'm still heavily thinking about that because it's going to be such a big commitment. You know, the wind has kind of calmed down, but the temperature is also high up. All right, so this end is not cooperating. Let's try the other end. This is marine blue from Fish Fighters. Actually not bad, but really not my preference. You know, it's sometimes it's easy to work with, sometimes it's not. Now remember, for this particular jig, sizing, it's still perfect. Okay, so a bit on the big side, but what we want is to have it just around there and lined up with the third dot. The hook's going to be there, so the drop for this is going to be a tad shorter. So take note of that when you're actually putting this together. Okay, so this cord doesn't need to be super long. That's all I'm saying. But we're gonna make it, when we're putting it together, it's probably better to actually make it longer so that you won't have a hard time adjusting the length, because it's easier that way. Okay, now one of the things that you could do is use this as a guide, so you know that you're going to be going around that way. So if you make it as long as that, it should be plenty. So my application for my visa renewal is ongoing, and what's going to happen is for a while I won't be able to do anything uh, because my ID has expired, right? So I'm not going to be going offshore anytime soon, because Emirates ID is actually needed for you to go out. So since we don't have that now, um, we're just going to be doing like some shore fishing just around the neighborhood and stuff. All right, so we have that. And then now we need this. Okay, so same thing, really. Oh crap. So unwieldy. All right, again, we're doing this. Okay, so fold, and then just gingerly pull it. Now here's a trick that I do when it's absolutely critical. Okay, when it's being pulled in to the braid itself. So what you do is just use your fingernails to kind of maneuver it so that it gets, there you go, ingested easier. All right, see, and if you note, I've used my right hand to pull and my left to hold it, because you need control. Sometimes this is where you mess up a lot. Now see here, what I do is really push the end in so that the loop that holds the braid in place and the solid ring is so compact so it's not loose. Okay, so there we go. And then as with earlier, I will cut this just at the end there, so it's clean, and you end up with something that really clean. Now what you need to do is just pull on this as tight and make it as tight and compact. Okay, so while you're doing that, what happens is that the sleeve actually kind of compresses onto itself, and as you can see here, okay, the outer braid is actually longer than the inside now. Okay, so what we need to do is, okay, we know that it will be, we're inserting around here, that bit. Okay, so as with earlier, what I will show you is earlier we had the stop here to adjust it, but now we will make this precise. Okay, so let me straighten this guy out so you can see better. All right, so this is what we want here. We want this to be just that long. Okay, size it. That's your gap for the split ring, and you want it to be there. Adjust it a tad bit, and you insert right smack in the middle, right there. Okay, so you have your mark of where your hook should be. All right, now just to show you, Okay, you can see that there's a mark there. Okay, a small hole. Um, that's generally where you want it to be, but you have to adjust it so it's in the middle. So it doesn't have to be that hole. Another important thing is that when you go through the other side, okay, it has to also be in the middle. Okay, and then that's when you kind of push through. Remember to be very careful. All right, so there we go. As you can see, that's perfectly in the middle, perfectly in the middle, relatively. I mean, you don't have to kind of do it precisely, but much better if you did. Okay, now let's hold that in place. See, this is why I don't do it like that. Instead, I actually flip it around, right? So that most of the shank, if you can see there, okay, see, it's being held like that, okay, boom, just like that. Much better. Now, bring this back. Because what you want is to actually have at least a couple of wraps. Okay, and cut the tag. What that does is to make this, see, a very solid connection, and then just bring it forward like so. Do at least 2. Okay, and then you can flip it over. Now, to make this cleaner, because you have that angle, right? To make that cleaner, I get a flat nose pliers. Okay, and I use the flat part without the ridges. Okay, so that, see, now it's now let me get a better pair actually. This is a cheap pair I got from Daiso, and it doesn't have ridges, as you can see there. Okay, it's just flat, so I can have that bite on that thing, and it's just gonna flatten without actually um, damaging the the braid. It's tougher than you think, okay, because it's made out of what's this, the PE fibers. They're tough as nails. Adjust the angle better. Okay, there we go. Now it kind of bothers me that this part here is not centered, so all I do is actually just center it. Okay, so as you can see, uh it's held on quite clean. Now after a few wraps like that, what I need to do is cut this at a taper. So as you can see there, cut it at a taper. Okay, and what that does is when you bind it, it makes a very nice taper, and it's clean. Then it's just a matter of actually wrapping and cleaning things up. Now, you can't get this kind of precision for each sort of jig, or for each jig that you have. You won't get this precision if you're just gonna buy the production stuff. And if you want to get your catch rate up, this is one of the ways you could do it. All right, so now as you can see there, I'm just making it as tidy as possible, filling up the gaps, and it's very easy to actually overdo this. And remember that I'm actually using thick braid, so tension control is very important. That's 1, and 2, less wraps. Okay, there we go. Then I'm not super happy there, so I'm gonna do 3 more. Just to, okay, and another very clean one. Okay, so super glue again. Later I'll be doing that in a batch. All right, so heck of a lot better than the last one. Also, split ring that was on there, it was tad too big for my liking, so I'm gonna put a smaller split ring. Okay. There we go. Okay, now install on the jig, and this jig you could actually use literally use this offshore, although 60 grams is actually kind of too big for where I'm fishing it. Okay, so as you can see, it is exactly where we wanted it to be. Okay, so the leader is going to be tied onto here. This is a fast jig, so that's where we're going to be tying it on. The see, it's just perfect when you see that the gap is pointing out, even if this actually wraps. In the off chance that it wraps, you can see that the gap is proud, so that when the fish bites, it's still going to have a chance to hook the fish up. All right, so there we go. All right, I guess for this particular one, for this video, um, I'd have to call it quits. It's getting longer than needed. All right, so we've rigged the 2 jigs, the curb slider and the bentos, and I think I'm gonna have another video for slow jigs, and there's 2 slow jigs and actually 2 all around jigs, casting jigs, that I'm also gonna show. And I guess there's a few things that you could do, and we'll discuss that in that particular one. But yeah, so that's it for this. I think there's this one jig here. I forget which jig this is. I think this is from Smith actually, but it's unmarked. So I'm gonna be rigging this in the next video. Also, I'm gonna be rigging this slightly different from the other one, because guess what? That doesn't tell a story, and it's also shorter, so it's kind of different. Anyway, if you have questions regarding this, like how I rig stuff, just give me a heads up, all right, in the comment section, and then we'll start a discussion. If you haven't yet and you want to learn more, there's a lot of these rigging videos on the channel. Subscribe. Thank you very much to the members. Obviously, they help the channel grow and move forward. And if you're interested, there are member only videos that I upload, and probably one of these rigging videos for this particular one I'm gonna keep as members only as well, so just, you know, a little bit of extra from them. My thanks for supporting the channel. And there are some I'm gonna be honest, there are some tricks that are only for members. All right, so you know, they're giving something extra, so I really think that they should be getting something extra as well. Alrighty, that is it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Class dismissed.